Should you stop jerking off? Should you stop making love to yourself? I'll give you an explanation today as to when NoFap can make sense and when it absolutely makes no sense. If you want to find a quality, meaningful relationship, then this video is extremely valuable to you. Or if you just want to get more dates in general. Not making love to yourself is not the same thing as not making love to yourself and not coming. And it's not the same thing as not making love and not watching porn. The one thing you absolutely have to get rid of or reduce to a minimum, just like a twice a year type of occasion, is porn. Porn is really, really bad for your brain. I haven't read the studies, but you know that it's not good for you. Inherently, with common sense, you can see that it's overly stimulating. You lose pleasure having real intimacy. And there's actually theories, different hypotheses, that the reason there are so many men who get cucked, quite literally, watching their woman make love to another man. And the reason they enjoy that is because they've watched so much porn, which is you watching another couple make love from a third person perspective. Let that sink in. So it conditions you to feel pleasure at the sight of another couple making love. So porn is something you gotta cut. It's absolutely bad for your brain. Now, what about making love to yourself and coming versus not coming? What happens when you have an orgasm is you have a prolactin release in your brain. You know, when you feel lethargic and also relaxed afterwards, it's a beautiful feeling. But are you prone to take more or less action after you just made love to yourself? Do you want to go and socialize? Do you want to go on dates? Or do you want to sleep and maybe take care of business? Look, if you get distracted, and this is where we actually get into it, making love to yourself is not a problem at all, because then you can focus on work. I'm sure you've had this where you just jerk off and then you're like, back to business, where you can then refocus your energies. But what I recommend to my clients who want to find a proper relationship is to just not make love to yourself for 2 weeks or a month and to have the best version of NoFap, which is actually to only have sex, as in to only come, when you're having sex with an actual woman. Because Jordan Peterson talks about this as well. If you deprive yourself of the grip of death, of this thing that you really, really want, and you can only have it when it comes through the connection with another woman, which leads you one step closer to a fulfilling relationship, you will be a lot more likely to actually do it and put yourself out there. Because if you have all that prolactin in your brain, if you're all lethargic, then your evolutionary drive to get out there and procreate and socialize in a loving and playful way is a lot less. So if you find yourself, if you have approach anxiety, if you're nervous when it comes to socializing, just stop jerking off for a month. And I'll promise you that the pain of getting rejected or the nervousness or the fear will pale in comparison to the pain that you'll experience from not having an orgasm. Especially since most men make love to themselves at least once a day or some more than that, right? Or a couple times a week at least. If you don't do it for a month, you will feel a drive to go out there and socialize with fellow members of your species from the opposite gender. So it can be an extremely valuable tool. Now, what you can also do is you can just jerk off and not come. That's a variant of it. The single best way, to be honest, is to just get quality dates. NoFap is not necessary. I have never done NoFap for sustained periods of time. I have done NoFap in a way for a long time because I've been with my fiance Fernanda for 5 years, and there have been periods where I absolutely didn't make love to myself because the sex that Fernanda and I have is so good. Yeah. So I don't need to. Now, it's funny, right? If you're in a relationship for 5 years Every once in a while, you're like, oh, my hand is a 7. I might as well. And you actually do that just for a little bit of variety and a little bit of quality time with yourself. But the best way to do NoFap is to actually be in a relationship. So NoFap should actually be the consequence of you being in a fulfilled relationship. But it can also be a tool that will help you get there. Like anything in life, it's not the thing, but the place it's coming from. Are you doing it because you're alone and because you're not socializing? And by the way, you don't have a porn addiction, let me tell you that. Whoever thinks they have that, they don't. You just don't have enough quality dates. You would not be watching porn right now if you had an amazing woman by your side. You wouldn't. Yeah, but there are people who are in a relationship who are addicted to porn. They're not. They're not. Their needs simply aren't met in that relationship. Their need is not met. They're not fulfilled. The psychological needs. They don't feel respected. They don't feel desired. As a man, you might not feel like she's fully opening up to you. If you're in a fulfilling relationship, you absolutely don't have porn problems. Let me tell you that. You might every now and then watch porn together with her, but it's not really an issue. Human beings only become needy when their needs aren't met. Marshall Rosenberg once said anger, and I would extrapolate that or expand that to any negative symptom, negative emotion, sadness, fear, loneliness, whatever problem you have, is simply a tragic expression of an unmet need. You have a need for love and connection that must be met through quality male friends, through a beautiful woman by your side. And you can also just go through the dating process and make it really enjoyable until you find somebody, pick a person to spend perhaps the rest of your life with and build a family with. So, in short, should you stop making love? Well, if you're out there and you're socializing a lot, you're going on dating apps and you're sending messages on Instagram and you're doing in-person approaches, if you have enough quality dates to choose the right woman from, if you're already there or you're already in a relationship, then you don't need to. But it can be a very powerful tool. You don't need it, but it's helpful.